The tragedy that sparked a war. Eden 4, humanity's peaceful dream. The colony of Eden 4 was a testament to human perseverance. Once an uninhabited world on the edge of known space, it had become a thriving settlement. Lush forests, shimmering lakes, and towering cities that blended technology with nature. It was a dream realized, a place where humanity's future could flourish beyond Earth. Dr. Evelyn Carter had spent years on this world, working tirelessly as a lead researcher in quantum energy development. But more than that, she was a mother. Daniel, her 8-year-old son, was her world. That morning, he had played in the courtyard outside their home, laughing as the twin suns rose. He had wanted to be an astronaut, dreaming of flying among the stars. Evelyn had promised him, "One day, I'll take you to see them up close." She never got the chance. The Zyraxian Empire descends. It began as a shadow in the sky. Massive warships, their serrated hulls reflecting the sunlight like blades, entered Eden 4's atmosphere. The Zyraxian Empire had come. The first explosions shattered the capital's skyline. Plasma fire rained from the heavens, reducing streets to molten slag. The planetary defense grid barely had time to react before it was wiped out in a single, calculated strike. Then the troops landed. The Zyraxians, towering, reptilian creatures with obsidian armor and glowing yellow eyes, marched through the colony like executioners. They carried plasma lances, their jagged edges designed not just to kill, but to make death agonizing. The slaughter began without warning. A mother's desperate flight. Evelyn grabbed Daniel the moment the sirens wailed. The research facility was already in flames, her colleagues either dead or fleeing. Through the chaos, she ran, clutching her son's hand, dodging the bodies of neighbors and friends cut down in the streets. They reached an underground shelter, one of the last safe havens in the colony. But safe was a fleeting illusion. A Zyraxian warlord entered the bunker. His black armor bore the insignia of high command, his helmet's visor reflecting the terrified faces of the civilians inside. General Varkis. He moved with the cold precision of a predator who had done this countless times before. "No more running," he growled. His troops dragged people from the shelter, executing them in front of their families. The Zyraxians did not believe in mercy. They believed in fear. Evelyn pushed Daniel behind her, shielding him with her body. "Please," she pleaded, "he's just a child." Varkis tilted his head. "And yet he is human." His plasma lance pierced Daniel's chest. The boy gasped, his tiny fingers reaching for his mother before the light left his eyes. Evelyn screamed. It was the sound of soul being ripped apart. Varkis didn't hesitate. His weapon struck again, and Dr. Evelyn Carter, the scientist, the mother, the dreamer, collapsed beside her son, their lifeless hands inches from touching. The message that shook Earth. What the Zyraxians didn't know was that the colony's distress beacon had been broadcasting the entire massacre to Earth in real time. Billions of humans watched as a mother begged for her child's life. They saw the Zyraxian warlord strike them down without hesitation. The galaxy had underestimated humanity's capacity for vengeance. The footage spread like wildfire. Fury boiled across Earth and its colonies, igniting something deep and primal within the human race. For too long, the Zyraxian Empire had pushed them, belittled them, killed them like insects. Not anymore. The United Military Command, UMC, convened within the hour. What had begun as a Cold War would now become an inferno. The president of Earth stood before a trembling, enraged species and declared the words that would echo through history. "We have extended our hands in peace. Today we make a fist. We will not stop until every Zyraxian warship is ash." Earth's response, the birth of war. In hidden research labs, scientists pushed past the boundaries of known physics to create weapons capable of rivaling the Zyraxians. The shipyards of Mars and Titan worked day and night, producing a fleet unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Soldiers, ordinary men and women who had never held a gun, volunteered in the millions. They did not fight for conquest. They did not fight for glory. They fought for Evelyn. They fought for Daniel. They fought for every life the Zyraxians had taken. And when the first human dreadnoughts emerged from Earth's orbit, their cannons burning bright, one message was broadcast to the entire galaxy: the wrath of humanity. The war machine awakens. The Zyraxian Empire believed humanity was weak. They were wrong. Within days of Eden, for massacre, Earth transformed. What had once been a civilization focused on diplomacy and exploration became a war machine fueled by vengeance. The United Military Command, UMC, launched Project Retribution, a desperate bid to close the technological gap between humanity and the Zyraxians. Every factory, every research lab, every military base across Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies went into overdrive. The goal was simple: match the Zyraxians, surpass them, destroy them. The evolution of humanity's arsenal. For decades, Earth had played catch-up with more advanced alien species. No longer. Quantum rail cannons, weapons capable of firing metal slugs at near-light speed, tearing through enemy warships like paper. AI-controlled warships, fleets integrated with self-learning battle algorithms, reacting faster than any organic pilot. Cyber warfare divisions, specialized teams designed to cripple enemy ships and defense grids remotely. Orbital shock troopers, soldiers enhanced with exoskeletons, bioaugmentation, and adaptive stealth systems, making them walking nightmares on the battlefield. What had once taken decades to develop was now completed in weeks. The rage of an entire species had become a force of creation, not for peace, but for total annihilation. The first strike, Battle of Epsilon 9. The Zyraxians did not expect a full-scale assault. They assumed humanity would beg for mercy or launch a small-scale retaliation. Instead, they got Epsilon 9, a key Zyraxian stronghold in the Outer Rim. Epsilon 9 had long been a symbol of the Empire's unshakable dominion. Heavily fortified, it housed a fleet of over 200 warships, enough to crush an uprising before it began. Humanity did not care. The first strike came at 0 hour, when Earth's third fleet emerged from a warp gate just outside the planet's atmosphere. The human tactics that changed warfare. Unlike past battles, where Earth's forces had been outgunned and outmatched, this time they dictated the fight. 1. Stealth frigates infiltrated Zyraxian systems, feeding false data to enemy sensors. 2. Cyber warfare AI hijacked communications, turning Zyraxian ships against one another. 3. Quantum rail cannons unleashed their first barrage, tearing through enemy hulls before they could react. 4. Orbital shock troopers descended in drop pods, hitting the ground like meteor strikes, their exosuits turning them into unstoppable war machines. The Zyraxian commanders, once arrogant, now screamed in confusion as their defenses crumbled. The fall of a Zyraxian commander. Amidst the chaos, Commander Zelvas, the Zyraxian leader of Epsilon 9, found himself trapped in his war room as Earth's forces breached the planetary command center. Smoke filled the air, alarms blared, and the walls shook from human artillery. His guards fought desperately, but against the new breed of human soldiers, they stood no chance. The last doors burst open, and a squad of Earth's elite troopers stormed in. Zelvas bared his fangs, standing tall despite the blood dripping from his wounds. "We're the masters of this galaxy," he hissed. "You are nothing." Commander James Reynolds, leading the human strike team, stared him down. He was not in the mood for speeches. He raised his plasma pistol and shot Zelvas between the eyes. The Zyraxian collapsed, dead before he hit the floor. With his death, Epsilon 9 fell in under 12 hours, an unprecedented victory for humanity. The broadcast that shook the galaxy. Instead of hiding the battle's brutality, Earth broadcast it to every Zyraxian world. They saw their invincible fleet burning in orbit. They saw their unstoppable warriors slaughtered like cattle. They saw their commander executed without hesitation. For the first time in history, fear belonged to them. A message to the Zyraxians. Earth's president, standing in front of the ruins of Epsilon 9's capital, looked straight into the camera. "We warned you," she said, her voice steady, unshaken. "You thought us weak. You thought we would bow. Her gaze hardened. You murdered a mother and her child. And for that, we will burn your empire to the ground. Across the galaxy, Zyraxian colonies panicked. Uprisings ignited in conquered worlds. Even Zyraxian nobles, who once believed humanity was insignificant, began to question their empire's future. The death of Evelyn and Daniel Carter had become the birth of something far greater: humanity's vengeance. Final scene: the Oath of Vengeance. Back on Earth, in the war rooms of the UMC, top generals and leaders stood before an image of Zyrax Prime, the enemy's homeworld. A single name appeared on the screen: General Varkis, the Butcher of Eden IV, the murderer of Evelyn and Daniel. His execution would not just be a mission, it would be a promise. As the room filled with the voices of hardened warriors, each one swearing an oath of vengeance, one phrase became the rallying cry of the entire human race. For Evelyn, for Daniel, for Earth, the fall of the Empire begins. The cracks in the Empire. The Zyraxian High Council had ruled the galaxy for centuries. Their empires spanned thousands of systems, their fleets unmatched, their armies feared. But for the first time in history, they were afraid. The war with humanity was supposed to be a footnote, a minor suppression of an insignificant species. Instead, it had become a cataclysm. The fall of Epsilon 9 was just the beginning. Humanity's vengeance spread like a wildfire that would not be extinguished. 5 more Zyraxian colonies fell in the following weeks. Entire fleets were wiped out in ambushes. Alien species once enslaved by the Empire began to rise up, emboldened by Earth's defiance. Across Zyraxian space, panic took root. And at the heart of it all sat General Varkis, the Butcher of Eden IV, watching his empire crumble. The hunt for General Varkis. Humanity had only one objective: kill the monster who started it all. UMC intelligence reports confirmed that Varkis had retreated to Zyrax Prime, the Zyraxian homeworld, gathering what remained of the Empire's forces. But Earth did not fear a stronghold. They planned to bring it crashing down. The final battle plan. A coalition of Earth's finest commanders devised a strategy unlike any the galaxy had seen before. 1. Decapitation strike. Rather than a slow war of attrition, humanity would strike directly at Zyrax Prime, bypassing the Empire's outer defenses. 2. Shock and awe. The attack would be swift, overwhelming, and merciless. 3. The Judicator. A newly developed AI-controlled supercarrier would lead the assault, equipped with antimatter warheads capable of erasing entire fleets. It was madness, a plan no other species would dare attempt. And that's why it would work. The invasion of Zyrax Prime. The attack began at dawn, local planetary time. The Judicator led a fleet of over 500 human warships, each armed with the latest in quantum railgun technology and self-evolving AI battle systems. The Zyraxians had triple their numbers, but numbers no longer meant victory. The battle above Zyrax Prime. Human stealth ships emerged from warp, striking first. Zyraxian orbital defenses were hacked and disabled in minutes. Railgun barges punched through enemy battleships, tearing entire armadas apart before they could react. The Judicator's AI, codenamed Evelyn, calculated every move within human precision, predicting enemy tactics before they happened. In under 3 hours, the once mighty Zyraxian space fleet was reduced to burning wreckage. The fall of the Zyraxian capital. As human troops landed in the capital city of Vorlith, Zyraxian resistance collapsed. Orbital shock troopers stormed the streets, their exosuits making them unstoppable. Entire Zyraxian regiments surrendered, realizing the war was lost. Cities burned, and the Empire's symbols of power crumbled under human artillery. But one remained: General Varkis. The final confrontation. Deep inside his fortress palace, surrounded by the last remnants of his forces, Varkis made his stand. He did not beg. He did not flee. He waited, because he knew they were coming. Commander Reynolds leads the charge. Commander James Reynolds, the same man who executed Commander Zelvas, led the final assault. His team breached the palace, cutting down Zyraxian elites in brutal close-quarters combat. And then he found him. Varkis stood at the end of the Grand Hall, his massive plasma axe glowing in the dim light. "You have fought well," Varkis admitted, his voice a low growl. "But you are still human." Reynolds raised his rifle. "That's the last mistake you'll ever make." The duel. Varkis lunged, his axe slicing through pillars as Reynolds dodged, countered, and struck with precise gunfire. The general strength was overwhelming, but Reynolds was faster, sharper, and fueled by vengeance. A final shot pierced Varkis' chest, sending the Zyraxian stumbling back against his throne. Varkis coughed blood, sinking to his knees. He looked up at his executioner. "What makes your species so relentless?" Reynolds didn't hesitate. "Because you gave us a reason to be." He pulled the trigger. Varkis collapsed, lifeless, and with him, the Zyraxian Empire died. The end of an era. With their leader gone and their fleets destroyed, the remaining Zyraxian rulers surrendered unconditionally. The war was over. The Empire had fallen. A galaxy changed forever. The news of Earth's victory sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Alien species that had once feared humanity now sought alliances. Former Zyraxian slaves overthrew their masters. The balance of power had shifted, and humanity was now at the top. A message to the galaxy. Standing before the ruins of the Zyraxian capital, President Keller of Earth made a final declaration. "This is what happens to those who believe we are weak." She let the silence stretch, then added, "We are humanity, and we do not forgive." The price of vengeance. After the firestorm, the war was over. The Zyraxian Empire, the once undisputed rulers of the galaxy, lay in ruins. Their fleets were ash, their homeworld occupied, their leaders executed or imprisoned. And yet, as the fires of war began to fade, the weight of what humanity had done settled over the victors. The war had not come without cost. Earth's fleets were battered. Entire colonies had emptied as soldiers left, many never returning. The price of vengeance had been steep, and for the first time since Eden, for Burned, the question arose. What now? The fate of the Zyraxians. The surviving Zyraxians, once a race of conquerors, were now refugees. Some begged for mercy. Others swore revenge. Within the ruins of the Zyraxian High Council chamber, the leaders of humanity stood in judgment. The debate among Earth's leaders. President Keller, flanked by Earth's top military commanders, faced two choices. 1. Total eradication. Wipe the Zyraxians from existence, ensuring they never rise again. 2. Subjugation and rehabilitation. Allow them to live, but under strict control. There was no sympathy in the room. Not after what had happened on Eden 4. Not after the billions lost. General Reynolds, the man who had executed Varkis, leaned forward. "They showed us no mercy," he said coldly. "Why should we?" A long silence followed. Then Admiral Hahn, a veteran who had lost her entire family in the war, spoke. "Because if we become them, we lose more than just lives. We lose what made us fight in the first place." Keller exhaled. "Then we take their empire apart, piece by piece. They will never rule again." It was decided. The Zyraxians would not be exterminated, but they would never be a threat again. Their war industries were dismantled, their fleets confiscated, their military caste disbanded. They would survive, but under humanity's shadow. And with that, the last remnants of the Zyraxian Empire ceased to exist. The soldiers left behind. The war had given humanity a singular purpose, vengeance. But now that vengeance had been delivered, many soldiers found themselves lost. Among them was Sergeant Cole Ramirez, a former miner from Mars who had joined the military after his sister died on Eden 4. He had fought in every major battle, survived the siege of Zyrax Prime, and killed hundreds of Zyraxians. Now, as he stood among the ruins of the Zyraxian capital, he felt empty. He was not alone. Across Earth's fleets, soldiers who had once fought with righteous fury now questioned what their purpose was without an enemy to kill. Some would return home, try to rebuild lives that had been put on hold. Others wouldn't know how. For many, the war had been their reason for living. And now, with the enemy gone, they felt like ghosts in their own skin. Humanity had won, but winning a war is not the same as finding peace. The ghost of Evelyn Carter. On a quiet evening, in the aftermath of war, Commander James Reynolds stood before a simple memorial. A holographic image of Evelyn and Daniel Carter flickered in the dim light, their names carved into a towering monument on Earth's lunar base. She had not been a soldier. She had not won a war, but she had been the spark that ignited it. He placed a hand on the cold metal. "I hope this was enough," he muttered. Then he turned away. There was still work to do. A new galactic order. With the Zyraxian Empire gone, a power vacuum spread across the galaxy. Some alien species rejoiced, seeing their oppressors finally fall. Others, once subjugated under Zyraxian rule, now feared humanity just as much. The formation of the Terran Dominion. Earth's leaders knew one thing. Power does not go unchallenged. The only way to prevent another galactic war was to fill the void themselves. And so, humanity did what had never been done before. They claimed the remnants of the Zyraxian Empire and reforged it into something new. The Terran Dominion, a different kind of rule. Unlike the Zyraxians, humanity did not rule with whips and chains. Instead, they offered stability, order for those who accepted it, destruction for those who resisted. Humanity had become the new dominant power in the galaxy, not by conquest, but by sheer, unrelenting will. The message was clear. We will never be victims again. Epilogue, the warning to the stars. On the first anniversary of the war's end, President Keller stood before a crowd of billions, her speech broadcast to every world under human rule. She did not speak of glory. She did not celebrate the destruction. She simply stated the truth. Humanity did not seek war, but when it came to us, we answered. We do not forget. We do not forgive. Let this be known to all who look upon our world with hostile intent. If you come for us, we will bring the full might of our wrath upon you. Her eyes hardened as she finished. We are humanity, and we will never bow again.